I've always loved tragedies. There's something satisfying about the emotional paradox they create in us, evoking a mix of wonder, delight, and sadness by creating something beautiful only to rend it to pieces. The old piece follows the same structure as the millennia of tragic stories that predate it. Establish something beautiful, make us care for it, and then revel in its destruction. Here, the beautiful subject is the piece between the sentience and Orokin, which as players we instinctively know is fated to end, understanding the course of the old war. Initially, the old piece is disorienting, removing the player from the time and place they're familiar with, the origin system of the present. They are transported to Tau at an unspecified moment in its past, during a truce between the Orokin and sentience. Having consumed very little of the pre-release marketing for the old piece, I initially was unsure what was going on. I knew the basic premise was that we would go to Tau during a peace with the sentience, but considering Warframe's use of eternalism, I wasn't sure if this was from our timeline or an alternate history. The opening cutscene shows a metallic flower that glows blue with energy, resembling a lotus. Little context is provided, but keen-eyed viewers may realize that this flower is oozing with symbolism. The lotus is the namesake of one of the main characters of Warframe, who, like the old piece story, is caught between the sentience and the Orokin. Playing with the expectation of that warring relationship, the opening minutes ask the player to control a Warframe as they make their way through the trenches of Tau towards a crater where they fight a massive sentient, as tall as a skyscraper. The conceit of this fight is only revealed when it ends. A sentient child called Adis emerges from the center of the towering behemoth. They have wing-like appendages, evoking an angel descending from heaven. This helps establish their beauty and hints that they are not long for this world. As Adis reaches the ground, the operator emerges from their Warframe and joyfully greets them. We see that these children are the product of peace, youth from opposing sides of the war who have set aside the prejudices of their parents and formed a strong relationship. Their bond, a microcosm of the peace between the two peoples, can also be interpreted as a beautiful thing fated for destruction. The operator hands Adis the flower they picked in the opening cutscene, establishing what will be made explicit later. The flowers are what enables the peace between the two peoples. Adis consumes the flower, bringing it into his heart, reinvigorating the energy that emanates from within him. This moment is interrupted with a cutscene that establishes the old piece's frame narrative. In the present, the operator is viewing history from within the Sanctum Anatomica's dark refractory, with the help of Lloyd and the Lotus. Lloyd is uneasy about this, worrying for the operator's safety, while Lotus encourages them to push harder to discover the truth of Tau. This subtly hints at the thematic connection between Lotus and the Tau flowers, without making it explicit. In spite of the risks, the operator listens to Lotus, returning to the past, where they and Adis find themselves within a school called Tauron Academy, a place established by the peace between the sentients and Orokin to teach sentient children the ways of the Tenno. Tauron is rendered in opulent beauty, with a color palette filled with white, blue, silver, and gold like the operator and Adis. This is contrasted with the surface of the moon Perida, which is dominated by gray and brown rocks and mud. War has stripped Perida of beauty, separating the natural world from the artifice of Orokin society, thematically connecting to the idea that the peace and the bounty it provides is unnatural and unstable. In my view, this makes the piece even more beautiful, because it's not easy and effortless. It requires work from everyone involved to maintain. Tauron itself is not bereft of tension, as Cephalon Doklo calls Adis a voidlugger, which is treated like an epithet. Itzam, an Archimedean sentient, tries to distract the children by bringing Adis to a lesson. They cannot take away the hurt of Doklo's words, but they can redirect the children, hoping to lessen the psychological impact. The prejudice against sentience in Orokin society runs deep, and as we will see, threatens the peace. From Itzam, we learn that the peace treaty is not finalized, emphasizing just how fragile the current situation is, which is interrupted by an attack from the anarchs the children are deployed to combat. This introduces the central conflict of Tau's past, a group of Orokin who loathe the sentience, seeking to break the peace. On their way to repel the attack, the pair stops at a field of flowers so that Adis can recharge, as a commander reveals what they are.
Xenoflora. Flowers. The only real alien life we've ever found, and the Sents scarfed them down like Kubro Chow. Just as well for us they did, eh, Tenno? Suddenly they've all got minds of their own. So no more hive mind. So no more war.
This explains how the peace came to be. It's dependent on the flowers, native to Tau, which allow the sentients greater agency, resulting in the negotiations for an armistice. Adis and the operator follow the anarchs to a cave, where their leader Galastra orders a trapped sentient who isn't under the influence of the flowers to attack. The operator kills the sentient in the battle, causing a rift between them and Adis. Adis is sad to see one of his kind killed, while the operator feels guilty, saying they acted in self-defense. The Anarch's plan is working, starting to drive a wedge between the two peoples as shown in microcosm by the two children. Upset by the fraternal strife, the operator returns to the present. Here, another threat to the operator is revealed. The murmur have reawakened within the lab and approached the dark refractory. This is meant to increase the stakes, as now the operator is in a race against the clock in both present and past. They need to find the secrets of Tau's history before the murmur reaches them. However, the murmur is disposed of easily before the climax, which weakens that element of conflict, ultimately leaving it feeling underutilized. A blink and you'll miss it piece of foreshadowing occurs when the operator returns to the past. They don't jump far enough into the past and find themselves in the middle of the old piece's climax, fighting through Tauron and calling Ballas' name. Lloyd realizes they're not far enough back into the past, so he sends them back to where they were in the timeline. I didn't understand what this meant during my initial playthrough, but this reveals part of the twist ahead of time. Next, the operator passes Doklo again, who says something interesting.
There is something deeply amiss with the sentients. If they're so proud of who they are, then why do they want to be humans so badly?
This leads directly into the next scene where the operator reconciles with Adis, giving him his mask back. We see that when not wearing the blue mask that gives him a human-like face, Adis' face resembles the sentient who we killed earlier. This makes the operator killing the sentient hit even harder in retrospect, by allowing us to visually draw the connection Adis made emotionally. Adis saw themselves in that sentient, viewing their death as one would see of family members. It also no doubt raises the question in Adis' mind. Would the operator kill me if I was in that position? In order to make peace with the Orokin, the sentients who consume the flowers are trying to make themselves more human. They are trying to integrate themselves into human society in order to be seen as equals rather than machines or beasts of burden. They want more than anything to be treated with dignity, so they attempt to suppress their true form to be more beautiful, charismatic, and palatable to their would-be oppressors. Adis' mask literalizes a metaphor. Often marginalized groups find they need to hide their authentic personalities behind a more palatable mask in order to be accepted by the dominant hegemony, in this case the Orokin. Masking normally takes the form of code switching, changing your behavior and affect in mixed company in order to reduce the likelihood of discrimination from the outgroup, and only relaxing to more authentic behavior when you're around the in-group. The masking metaphor is complicated by the flowers, which free sentients from the hive mind and make them individuals. Their consciousnesses are literally transformed, as they gain an individual will free from the hive mind. However, they now must deal with the Orokin as individuals rather than as a united front, which could be more lonely and leave them wanting for solidarity. The operator returns Adis's mask, causing him to place it over his face and agree to forgive the operator, not wanting to forsake their friendship. Adis's mask represents everything he's been doing at Tauron. He's trying to learn to be more like a human, so that he can integrate into society in a way his ancestors could not. Adis is a child, and yet he must bear the weight of fighting for acceptance simply for being a sentient, a group the Orokin culture naturally disrespects. This is a tragic situation familiar to anyone who knows the pain of being misunderstood by a society prejudiced against you. In the next mission, the operator fights to protect a palanquin holding an Orokin executor who has arrived on Tau. After successfully protecting it from anarch attacks, the executor is revealed as Ballas. This evokes a number of emotions immediately, given the player's history with Ballas in the Sacrifice and the New War. Amidst this whirlwind of emotions, Itzam catches up with the player and reveals the balance of power.
With the 7 splits, Ballas held the casting vote. Peace is entirely in his hands, and the warmongers whisper in his ear day and night.
The peace is precariously balanced upon the palace intrigue of the Orokin executors, who have splintered into factions. As soon as I heard the peace treaty's ratification was in Ballas's hands, I knew it was doomed. The New War displays Ballas's complex relationship with the sentients. He loathes them, seeing them as beneath him, pawns to be used in service of his goals where possible. He only allies with them because he despises the other executors more for killing Margulis, an event which he's unable to accept responsibility for. Itzam treats with Ballas, trying to sway him towards peace and convince him to help repel the anarch attacks.
It's Galastra, Executor. Her anarchs now occupy every one of the known world seeders. Many of our bloom nurseries lie in ashes. Tauron itself is threatened. We believe she may be receiving assistance. Executor Nitok is helping.
The Moon Parita is soon to be sovereign sentient territory per Article 92. All Orokin forces to withdraw. Remain and we violate the treaty. Depart and we abandon a friend in need.
This sharply draws the conflict into focus. The anarchs are working with one of the executors, serving as a proxy force poisoning the well of sentient Orokin relations, making peace nigh impossible. Destroying the world seeders and xenoflora is part of the plan, eliminating the sentients' capacity to form individual identities beyond the hive mind, killing peace in the cradle. The result of this conversation is obscured from the operator, leaving them in suspense about Ballas's intentions. Adis and the operator travel to Tok Amen, the birthplace of the sentients, for Adis's graduation. Itzam emphasizes the metaphor, telling the children that they are a living example of peace. If their bond breaks, the peace will as well. The ceremony is interrupted by an attack which results in Itzam's death. This reveals the depravity of the warmongers. They will kill sentient scholars to prevent the education of the sentients, as they know knowledge is powerful. In the old peace, Itzam is peaceful and never violent towards anyone, but this doesn't matter to the anarchs. They see all sentients as violent by nature. This encapsulates the destruction of culture that often occurs in identity-based power struggles. The dominant faction will often target intellectuals because they feel threatened by their expertise and instinctively know that the destruction of knowledge is devastating. After surviving the battle, Adis and the operator receive a message from Margulis.
Galastra tried to steal the life of my love. For that alone, she deserves death. But the complete extinction of the Tau blooms, which she plans to bring about, would hurl us back into a state of war. She has sequestered herself and her followers within the World Seeders, but they have a flaw, a destruct sequence. This Ayatan holds the trigger codes. Deliver it to the World Seeder's heart and turn Galastra's fortress into her funeral pyre.
This prompts the climax of the old piece. The Operator and Adis enter the World Seeder and use its weakness to take out Galastra. After Galastra's capture, she goads Adis to kill her, which he rejects, not wanting to be violent like her. He refuses to stoop to her level and rejects the base violence she expects of him, leaving her to die in the destruction of the World Seeder. This makes Adis even more beautiful. He's able to recognize who he wants to be as a person, and refuses to be like his oppressors. Afterwards, Adis and the Operator exit the World Seeder and discover that all the Xenoflora have turned to ash. The peace, that beautiful fragile thing, has gone to ashes with the flowers. The Operator realizes what happened.
Ballas and the others. They used us. Set us up.
Volko Rahal! Margulis dies for this!
Adis and the Operator will be blamed for the destruction of the peace treaty, which is tragic, as they more than anyone wanted the peace to continue, because they saw in each other what peace could bring their peoples. The destruction of the peace strains the bond of the pair, bringing them into conflict. The Operator blames Ballas and doesn't want to immediately accept that Margulis may be responsible, while Adis blames Margulis because she gave them the codes to destroy the World Seeders. In a climactic confrontation, the Operator fights Adis, mirroring the opening, but this time it's not a friendly sparring session. They fight for real, battling for their two peoples, Adis to avenge the destruction of sentient agency, and the Operator to protect their surrogate mother. The battle ends in the Operator's defeat as Adis delivers a fatal blow. The Operator dies, comforting and forgiving Adis as they do, which inspires Adis to make a sacrifice. They use the last of their Tau Bloom power to heal the Operator, resurrecting them from the dead. Newly reinvigorated, the Operator fends off the attacks of their former allies, the Grineer. Afterwards, the Operator holds Adis, realizing that he's fading away.
Let me feel sunlight. My light goes with you now.
Did you know?
Yes. I was meant to make sure. But I couldn't, Tenno.
Valdur is the Judas analog of this conflict. He doesn't want to betray the students, knowing deep down that his orders are wrong, but he does it anyway, ensuring for Ballas that the peace dies once and for all. He will never be absolved of his guilt, as the destruction of the Tau Blooms is tantamount to genocide, the highest crime against humanity. This guilt is realistic and serves to twist the knife. Adis dies with the peace so that his friend can live, establishing him forever as an angel, too pure and too beautiful to live. In his final moments, Adis has the Operator remove his mask, so that he's able to be true to himself, not pretending in vain to be human. Paradoxically, this is one of the most human reactions to death, showing us that the sentients aren't that different from us, despite what the Orokin would have us think. Adis's death establishes him as a martyr, making the destruction of the peace even more heart-wrenching. This is the tragedy of the old peace. Palace intrigue and the machinations of Ballas and the other executors doom peace with the sentients from the start. They would not make peace with a species of sentient machines that they created. The Orokin are too arrogant, seeing them as above their creations, which ends up being their own downfall in the Old War. By introducing the doomed piece, the old piece adds complexity and makes the old war even more poetic. Tragedies encapsulate the fundamental tension behind all life. Everything beautiful is fated to end, whether that be unceremoniously before one's time or of old age surrounded by loved ones. We all die the same. The fundamental purpose all tragic stories share is catharsis, purging pent-up emotions by releasing them through art, helping us process grief and loss by evoking it in a lower-stakes fictional scenario. This then helps us better process our grief when it comes in real life, able to connect it to pre-existing experiences. The loss that comes with the downfall of a tragic figure is the reason I love tragedies. They feel so powerful because the world has been robbed of something beautiful. I felt a profound sadness when the Tau blooms were destroyed and Adis died. The story was masterfully executed, making me care deeply for a character I met a mere hour prior. In the final minutes of the old piece, we not only are able to experience cathartic grief for Adis and his kind, but also rage at the injustice of Ballas' betrayal. Ballas had the power to ensure peace prevailed, but instead he wielded it to cause death and suffering. Anger at this selfish and pointless cruelty is incredibly justified, which makes the next minutes immensely satisfying. The operator takes control of the Warframe Uriel and uses his fire and brimstone to raise Tauron and fight their way to Ballas. Uriel's hellish powers perfectly channel the rage of grief. In the midst of their rage, the operator encounters Doklo. The player has the choice to confront him and learn what happened. If they do, he reveals a detail that amplifies the rage and tragedy.
The Grenier were prepared. They knew. The moment Ballas announced the treaty was dead, they opened fire.
The treaty was already dead prior to Ballas' arrival. He had made up his mind to betray the sentients, but as is his duplicitous and cowardly nature, couldn't help but find a scapegoat, blaming the operator and Adis for the destruction of the treaty rather than owning the decision himself. This makes the operator's rage even more cathartic as manifested via gameplay. I felt that rage towards Ballas deeply, hating him even more than I did in the New War. I wanted to go replay the New War so I could kill him again with the context of the true depth of his depravity. The player has the option to either kill or spare Doklo. I spared him even though I despised him for his discrimination against the sentients throughout the entire quest, as I wanted to honor Adis and his choice to turn the other cheek, refusing to stoop to the level of the Orokin who destroyed him. The operator fights their way to Ballas, but he's not there. In his place, they find Margulis.
Tell me you had nothing to do with it.
You already know the truth.
Why am I sleepy?
You've had a very hard day, my angel. And we have a long journey back to Lua. The dream will keep the voices from taking hold.
You're going to make me forget, aren't you?
I will not have them accuse you of treason. If they come for you, they will have to go through me.
But Ballas, if he did this, he'll kill you. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
We can finally begin to heal.
The ending cutscene only serves to intensify the tragedy, revealing Margulis didn't intend to set the operator up. She loves them too deeply to do that. Instead, we learn that Ballas betrayed even her. This finally provides the full context of the apostasy Margulis died for, protecting her child from Ballas' machinations to scapegoat them for the destruction of the peace. Instead, it's Ballas and Executor Nighthawk who have committed crimes against peace, establishing the Old War as a conflict of Orokin aggression. Margulis choosing her child over her consort is something Ballas is too selfish to understand. He comes to resent Margulis, for she did something he is incapable of, loving her child unconditionally. Margulis does what any selfless parent would do in this situation, protect their child even at the cost of her own life. I love that the old piece deepens the tragedy of Margulis's character. She sacrifices herself to protect her child's innocence. The ending confirms the chronology of the old piece. It occurs in our timeline during the Old War prior to Margulis's death and the creation of Lotus, but after the Zeramin void jump accident. By proxy, it also helps explain Lotus's character. Ballas turns her into Margulis in an attempt to get the woman he lost back, betraying the Orokin for a situation of his own making. Lotus is named after the flowers that Margulis died to avenge, and is formed from Nata, a sentient. Lotus serves as a spiritual successor to Adis, a hybrid between the sentients and the Orokin, caught between, but able to behave as a human. I love the extra dimension this symbolism provides. It's such a beautiful twist for the character. The old piece is fantastically crafted, bursting at the seams with small details that elevate the narrative, and a genuinely heartbreaking ending. It's easily one of my favorite story quests in Warframe, as I think it's a near-perfect, masterfully constructed tragedy. It slots into the chronology well and establishes great stakes for Tau. The truth of Tau's past is revealed to be a tragedy of epic proportions. We can only wonder what we will find when we return to see how it has changed. Will the sentients still be grieving the loss of their Tau blooms, or will that beauty have been stripped away by the sands of time, leaving only rage and indifference? Only time will tell the truth of Tau's present and future.